Hello, so good evening to all. So in today's lecture, I am going to continue with a list. So yesterday we discussed about list, and in list I told you that list is something with the help of which we can group similar or dissimilar data types. Like if I want to group the marks scored by all the students in the class, and once I so that marks all the marks can be grouped in the list, and once grouped, then like processing, like if I want to determine the minimum marks scored by any student, simply by writing a single command I can do that. If I want to get the maximum marks, just by writing a single command I can find out what is the maximum marks scored by any student. If I want to determine the average marks scored by all the students, just in a single command I can do that. So the things will become easy once we put or once we group the data into the list. So yesterday we discussed how we can create the list. So to create the list, I told you that just we need to put the content or the data inside the square brackets and separated by the comma. So like for example, over here it is a one dimensional list having three values, three elements, 1, 2 and 3. This is the list of strings having three strings. This is the list having dissimilar data types. We have string, we have integer, we have boolean term, right? We can put the expressions, like using the relational operator we can write the expression, using the arithmetic expression we can put inside the list, but the output will be just a number. Okay, so it will be just a number. We discussed that list we can create an empty list, and the purpose of the empty list is that in future, means in the remaining part of the program, we can add content to it. I told you that list is zero based indexing. It is a zero based indexing. Zero based indexing means that all the elements that are there in the list, they will be referred with the index value. The first element get its index value as 0, second element as 1, third element as 2, and so on. And since the indexing it starts from 0, so it is the zero based indexing, right? And over here we have discussed that if this is our list and if I put this, then A10 means that I am trying to access the value of the list present at index 0, which is 2 over here. Thereafter we discussed about the multi-dimensional list, and over there I told you that we can have list within list. Like this is the first element present at 0 index, this is present at index 1, and then this complete thing it is present at index 2. As if we execute this, so A2 means index 2 value is this. I told you that if I want to mention, if I want to get only this thing, right? So for that I need to add another square bracket and I will put 0, because at index 0 this complete list is present at index 0 over here. So since A2 returns this complete thing, so within this complete thing, if I want to have the first value, then it can be obtained by mentioning another square bracket, and if I put 0, then it is going to display this part. If among this, if I want only this E, then E is present at index 1. So to access this E, I need to put another square bracket 1, and then I will get E. So this is multi-dimensional list. We can have list within list, right? And the way we can access it, simply we need to put the square brackets. We will put only one square bracket if it is one dimensional list. If it is two dimensional list, I need to put 2 values. If it is 3 dimensional, I need to put 3 values. Now one question may be there, that what if, like at index 1 we just have a single value, we do not have a list over here. So if suppose if I put 1 over here, right? So what will happen if I try to put 0 and 1 over here? So if I execute this, it is going to generate an error, and the error is int object is not subscriptable. Subscriptable means over here subscript or index value. Index subscript value is another name for index value. So it is saying int object is not subscriptable. It means since over here at index 1 we have 2, so and over here it is in integer value, it is not a list. So the numbers that we have mentioned in these two square brackets, so with the help of this number we are trying to put the index value, but since it is the integer value, so we cannot access this integer value with extra square brackets. So if I remove this and now if I execute, it is going to work perfectly fine. But if I put this, it is going to show an error, right? Why? Because A1, when I put A1, it returns 2. Now 2 is not a list, right? 2 is not a list. So if I try to access 2 with another index value, it is going to generate an error because 2 is not subscriptable. 2 cannot have index value. It is not a list. 2 is not a list, right? So when I put 2, then it is okay, because at 2 we have this complete thing, and within this 2 when I mention 0, it means I am just talking about this. If I put 1, then it is 2. Now again, if I put another index value over here like 1, it is going to generate an error. Why? Because this 2 1 is referring to this integer value. Now if I put another square bracket, means if I try to put the index values, another index value, then since this is an integer, so it is not subscriptable. We cannot use the index value or the subscript to access 2. So it is the reason it is showing an error. So it means what we can conclude with this? We can conclude that if our list contains list within list, if it is a nested list or if it is a multi-dimensional list, then I should be careful while mentioning this square bracket. I should mention the extra square brackets only if values are there. If values are not there, then I should not put this square brackets, right? Extra square brackets. If I put it, it is going to show an error, right? So this is about multi-dimensional list. Thereafter, we have discussed about slice. That with the slice, how we can create a sub list from the main list. And with that, I told you that this is the syntax, that we just need to mention the name of the list, and then I need to mention the index value from where we want to start, and then colon, and then I need to mention the index value up to which I want to get the list. I want to get the elements, and over here this end, it is not included, means it will start from start, it will take the values from start to end -1 index. This end is not included. For example, over here, if this is this, then when I mention 1:4, it will take element from 1 to 3. Index value at index 1 is 2. This is at index 2 and 9 is at index 3. So it returns 279. I told you that if I put another like 1:6, this one is the starting index, this 6 - 1 is the ending index, and this 3 will be the step size. Means after accessing the first element from the first index, means 2, then the next element will be accessed from index 1 plus 3, means 4. So what is element at 4 index? It is this. So it is the reason we get this. So means over here we are mentioning the step size. I also told you about that if we do not mention the end, I just mentioned the start colon and I did not mention the end, then interpreter will automatically take that I want to get all the elements till the end. So starting from 2, it will return all the elements till the end. So if I execute this, it is going to return element at index 2 is 7, so it returns 7 and 9. Right? Now after this, and over here we also discussed that if I did not mention, like suppose if I put this colon 3, so I did not mention the start, it means that interpreter will take all the elements starting from index 0, right, and it will end till 2. So 0 index, 1 index and 2 index. So it is going to return 4, 2 and 7, right? Now after this we have one more thing, that is the negative step size. What if I put negative step size? So for example, over here, if this is my list and over here I did not mention the start index, I did not mention the end index, but I mentioned the step size -1. So what it is going to do, if I execute this, you will see that our list is 4279 and the output it is 9724. It means the step size, when we mention step size equals to -1, it simply start reading the list from right to left, from the back side, right? So it means very easily we can reverse the list. If you try to write the same program using the C language, you need to write at least 5-6 lines, 5-6 statements. But in Python, it just takes 1 line. If you put, like suppose if this is my list and if the step size is -2, then it will -2, it will start reading the list from the back side, and since this step size is -2, so it will take alternate elements. Means first this element 5 will be taken, then the alternate this 12 will be taken, then this 4 will be taken, this 7 and then this 4. So if I execute this, you can see from the back side it displays the list and the alternate elements are listed, right? So in this way you can see very easily we can do the reversing of the list. Now over here, when we put, I told you that if we do not mention the start, it will start reading, it will assume that all the elements will be included from index 0. If I do not mention this end over here, it will include all the elements till the end, till the last index, right? But over here, when we put step size is -2, so what? Over here it will start from 0 or it will start from end. End is what is the, if you consider this particular list, then what is the index value of this 5? The index value is starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Means the index value of 5 is 8, right? So over here, suppose if I write 8, if I write 0 over here, and now if I execute, you will see I will get the same output. It means over here, when I mention -2, so the list is not starting from 0. List is starting from index 8. So interpreter seeing negative step size, interpreter automatically start from index 8 and it will end at index 0, right? So we have to mention the higher integer, higher index value in the starting and lower index value at the end if the step size is negative. If suppose if I put over here, if I put 8:3, then I get the list starting from 5, 12 and 4. What if I try, suppose if I put 2 over here and let it be 7. So what will it going to print anything, or it is going to show an error? Now if I execute this, it is showing that the element in the subset is blank. There is no entry, means it has not shown any error, but it has not even picked any element. Why? The reason is the starting index is 2, right? Now starting index is 2 means 7, but since the step size is -2, so the next value will be 0, right? But over here I have put the range as 2:7, means 2 from 2 till 6. But since the negative indexing is there, so simply it cannot move forward, means the next value after 2, it will be 0. It will not, and 0 does not lie between 2 and 6. So it is the reason that it has not taken any value from this list, because it cannot be having a negative step size. It cannot move forward from 2 to 7. So it returns an empty list. So remember that whenever you put a negative step size, then the start should have the higher index value and the end should have the lower index value, right? So this is about the slicing that we can do. Now the next is the length function. Now with the help of this length function, we can determine how many elements are there in our list. For example, over here, if this is my list, and if I just using this function len num, if I execute this, it is going to return it is going to return 5. Let me remove this thing to avoid any confusion. So if I remove this, so over here what I did, simply if I want to determine how many elements are there in my list, then simply I will use this function len, len, and within the parenthesis I will put the name of the list. So it will return the number of elements that are present in the list, right? So simply by using the len function, we can determine the number of elements that are present in the list. Now what happens, suppose if we have a multi-dimensional list, and let the elements are something like this. So now what it is going to return? So now if I execute this thing, again you can see it has returned only 5. So first element, second element, and this, it has considered this as only one element. Okay, and it means that for this particular len, this thing contains, it is just a single unit. Why? Because list can group similar and dissimilar data types. So this complete list of 2671, it is considered as a single unit. Now what if I want to determine how many elements are present over here in this particular list? To get this, I need to put, if I put index 2. Why index 2? Because this particular list is present at index 2. So if I put this index 2 over here, and now if I execute, then it returns 4. It means if I want to get the length of the list within list, then I need to put the index value. I need to call this particular list, means I just get a sublist and then I determine the length. So what if I put num1? Num1 means I am talking about this 2. So what will be the length? If I execute this, it is going to generate an error. Why? Because integer does not have any length. Okay, so integer is just a single quantity and it will always be 1. So length function can be used only when multiple units are possible. But when we are talking about integers or when we are talking about float values, then they cannot have more than one number, right? They can have more than one digit. But over here, integer does not, like over here, with the help of the len function, we are not able to count the number of digits in the number, right? So number is considered just a one unit. So this len function is of no use in the integer. So it is the reason it display an error, and the error is type error. Object of type int has no len. So it means it is saying that int does not have any length, means its length is fixed, that is 1, right? So remember, you cannot use it. You can use it only for the list or for the data or for the group data where we have multiple values, right? What if I try to determine the length of this? Over here it is a string. So if I try to evaluate this, it returns 6. Why? Because over here HELLKO, total 6 characters are there, and this H, it is 1, E, it is second, and so on. So it is not like a number. It means len function can be used for the string, and when it is used for the string, it returns the total number of characters or the alphabets that are present in the string. But len function cannot be used for integer, it cannot be used for the float, right? So this you need to remember. And remember that while you are learning a Python, you just need to learn the functions. And if this function is not, len function is not working in integers, but it is working on string, you need to remember it. And when you are going to write a program, you need to follow this. There is no, like, reason is just that num is just a single unit, whereas this string has 6 individual unit in the form of the characters, right? So it just, this logic is there, and you need to remember simply that len cannot be used for int, for float. It can be used for string, it can be used for the list, and it can be used for other structures like tuple, dictionary, sets that we are going to learn later on, right? So this is about len function. Now the next is, if we want to get the index of any particular element that is present in a list, means, like for example, if this is my list and if I want to determine the index value of 3 or index value of 2, so how I can get it? To get this, simply I will put the name of the list dot index, and then within the parenthesis I will put, say if I put 2, let me make it a comment. So if I execute this, it returns 2. Why? Because this 2 is present at index 2. If I put 1, it is going to return 0 because 1 is present at index 0. If I put 3, and in my list 3 is present twice, so now what will happen? It will return the first index. So the first occurrence of 3, it will return the index of the first occurrence of 3, right? So in this way we can get the index value of any element that is present in the list. Now what if I try to determine the index value of any number that is not present in the list, like 32 is not present in the list? So what it is going to return? So if I execute this, it simply returns an error. So it shows an error, and the error is value error, and it is 32 is not present in the list. It means if we try to find the index value of any element that is not there in the list, then it displays an error, right? So we should not use this particular function to find out the element that is not present in the list. and we need to be sure that we will use this particular function only if the element is present in the list, right? So this is about the index function, with the help of which we can determine whether the particular element, what is the index value of the particular element, right? Now over here, next is replace. Now if we want to replace the value, any value at a particular index, so how we can do it? To replace, if this is our list, then suppose if I want to change this 2 with some other value like 4, then simply I can put this value num1 equals to 4. So if I put in this way num1 equals to 4, you can see it simply changes the value at that particular index. If I put it as 41, it will change to 41. So it means if I want to modify any value in the list, then simply I need to put the name of the list, then I need to put the index value. So with the help of this, I am able to access that particular location, access that particular element, and then whatever value that I want to put, I assign this value to this particular index, right? So it is very simple to replace the value at any particular index of the list. The next function is the delete. Now to delete any particular element in the list, simply the command is, we are going to use del space followed by the name of the list and the index value that we want to delete. So for example, if I execute this, you can see I put num1 in value at index 1, I want to delete. So what is the value at index 1? It is this, right? So you can see after the execution of this, the final modified list is this, which does not contain this 2. So simply I can delete a particular element. What if I want to delete the complete list? If I want to delete the complete list, I simply put del space and the name of the list. So now if I execute this, it is going to show an error, and you can see the error is name error. Name num is not defined. Why? Because it is saying that name is, this variable num is not there. Why? Because before this particular statement we have deleted this particular num, so num is not present, right? So over here, if we want to delete a list, if we want to delete a complete list, then simply we will put the name of the list. If we want to delete a particular index, then we will put over here index 3 is not present, right? So it is the reason it shows an error, list assignment index out of range, because the maximum, it is 0 index, 1 index, 2 index. So there is no element present at index 3. So now if I put say 2, then it is going to delete 3, right? So in this way we can delete the element, right? So in the next lecture on Monday, I am going to tell you more about the different functions that are available with the list. And remember, it is with the help of these functions that makes the life of the programmers that are using Python, it makes the life of the programmer too easy, because whatever task, like task of replacing, task of determining the index value, task of deleting the particular element from the list, if this task, if we try in C languages or in basic languages, then it is going to be like we need to write at least 7-8 lines. But in Python we can do it just in a single line. And that is the main reason that Python is a programming language that is not only for the computer science engineer, but it is mainly for the algorithm developers who may or may not have a background of computer science. It means the electronics engineer, mechanical engineer, civil engineer, biotech engineer, any person who can write a program, whatever knowledge they have in their domain, they can reflect it using the Python program easily. Just they need to learn the programming commands, right? So with this, I end this video over here. If you have any doubt, you can put it in the comment box, and do subscribe my channel, share this video with your friends and colleagues. Thank you.